You have the right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing, and you do have counsel present today. You have the right to receive written notice of the charges of violation. Did you receive written notice, sir?
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing. You have the right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and to cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I tried to speak to the public defender that he won't let me talk on the phone to give him evidence that I have against myself.
Okay.
Would you like a continuance, sir? Would you like a continuance for you to, I called your counselor, who was attempting to try to set up another telephone call.
You hung up the phone on me.
No, I didn't hang up the phone, sir. I believe it was the other way around. But like I said, if you'd like a continuance of this hearing for us to talk again, you're more than entitled to that, sir. Would you like a continuance to continue this hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I can continue this case. Let me just look at my calendar.
Come on, bro. Dude, gonna sit up here and say what you know what you did, bro. You hung up the phone on me.
Sir,
Because you did not want to listen to what I have to say.
Listen, hey,
Just like you doing now.
Mr. Perry,
People, bro. Like,
Mr. Perry, hold on. So I think it would be best to do a continuance, try to have another phone call and get this figured out. It sounds like Mr. Perry has evidence that he wants to give.
Miss, I wrote y'all a letter.
You wrote
about
the board of pardons and paroles of a letter?
Yes, about the public defender. He hung up on me, ma'am. I wanted somebody else to represent me. I have a paid lawyer now that will represent me in this case.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So do you want...
What's your paid lawyer's last name, sir?
Man, I wrote it to them. I don't got nothing to say to you, sir.
So you don't wish to be represented by our office?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So can you just send over a withdrawal?
We'll send a withdrawal.
Yeah.
Get me the fuck up out of here. Yo, man, get me out of here, bro. Because I have to sit on things.
Yo.
Man,
Calm down. We're not doing that right here.
Oh, yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. This is my life, bro.
All right. So I'm going to continue this hearing until the 19th, and I will try and figure out who Mr. Perry's private attorney is. And hold on one second. So I'm going to try and figure out who Mr. Perry's private attorney is. So I'm going to continue this case until March 19th, and I will receive a withdrawal from Attorney Famiglia as well. All right, this concludes the preliminary hearing for Brian Perry, number 373781. Thank you, officer.
Well, we are going to fast forward to March 19th for him to have this preliminary revocation hearing with his attorney. And I got to tell you, little does he know, but that attorney, he's a public defender, but he is a beast, as in he is the best public defender I have ever seen. Maybe you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Pelmelny, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He fights for his clients with the ferociousness and dedication that is impressive. So little does he know that he just threw away probably his best chance at maybe getting away with this. And it just goes to show, if there's any type of lesson to be learned here, you know, don't bite the hand that feeds you. He did. And we'll see if he has an attorney that actually is here to represent him, or if he's going to be here on his own. I don't know. We also are going to catch a hot mic moment that I'll leave on for you right here at the beginning. With that, let's jump in.
So, okay. But John just set me up with a person I just had a fight with.
Oh shit.
We both just got out the box. You see, I'm trying. That's the third day y'all did that to me, bro. Not even you, man. It's not even it.
No, that's some fucked up shit, man. Yeah, right. That's supposed to be around at all.
Good afternoon, Mr. Perry.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. So,
All right, so I have you scheduled for a preliminary hearing. We did meet 2 weeks ago and we continued it for today. So I just wanted to check to see if you're ready to move forward today or if you were getting like private attorney or what your plan was.
no, we can move forward today. I was put in a little situation where I passed the deadline. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying, what that the attorney gave me, but I'm willing to move forward.
You want to move forward today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sounds good. All right, good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Michelizzi. I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Today is March 19th, 2024. This is a preliminary hearing for Brian Perry, number 373781. And I am at Hartford Correctional Facility via video at Board of Pardons and Paroles in. So can you state your name and inmate number for the record?
Brian Perry, 373781.
All right, thank you. This is a preliminary hearing which has three purposes under Connecticut law: to determine if there's probable cause to believe that you commit an act that violated the conditions of your parole, to determine if the act is sufficiently serious enough to warrant the revocation of your parole, and to determine if you should be held in prison pending further proceedings. The state, not you, has the responsibility to show that there's probable cause to believe that you violated one or more conditions of your parole. If I do not find probable cause, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find probable cause and determine that the act is sufficiently serious enough to warrant revocation, you may be held in prison pending further proceedings. You should know that a preliminary hearing is an adversarial proceeding. Anything you say at this hearing can be used against you, and this hearing is being recorded. So you have important rights at this hearing, which I will now review with you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney at this hearing. You may hire your own attorney, or if you cannot afford an attorney, you may qualify for an appointed attorney to represent you. Do you intend to seek counsel today or proceed without counsel, sir?
Proceed without counsel.
Okay. You have the right to receive written notice of the charges of violation. Did you receive written notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing. You have the right to submit evidence in support of your case. And at this hearing, you have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses as well as cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to place you under oath. Can you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear and solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, or under penalty of perjury.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to review the charges that your parole officer is charging you with. Charge number 1, condition of release direction under subcategory of GPS. Your parole officer reported that on 3/27/23, you read, initialed, and signed your GPS agreement indicating you understood all conditions. On 10/6/23, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 2:01 p.m. until 10/7/23 at 12:57 a.m. On 10/11/23, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 2:40 p.m. until 3:15 p.m. On 10/25/23, from 1:03 p.m. until 6:09 p.m. And on 10/28/23, from 2:52 p.m. until 9:09 p.m. On 10/21/23, you left the state of Connecticut and traveled to Rhode Island. You did not return to the state of Connecticut until 5 a.m. on 10/23/23. You did not have permission to leave the state of Connecticut from parole, nor permission for curfew extensions. On 12/21/23, you did not stay at your parole approved address and instead you stayed at 1450 Main Street in Hartford, Connecticut. On 12/23/23, you did not return to your parole approved address until 10:30 p.m. Excuse me. You were 1.5 hours late for your 9 p.m. curfew. On the following dates and times, you allowed your GPS to shut down. 12/22/23, from 12:27 a.m. to 4:18 a.m., 12:30, from 1:32 p.m. until 4:34, and again from 11:37 p.m. until 1:44 a.m. on 12/31/23, and on 1/3/23 from 1:04 a.m. until 6:54 a.m. On 1/5/24, you were late for your 9 p.m. curfew again. Your GPS places you on Union Place in Hartford until 11:55 p.m. and you then travel to 1450 Main Street, where you remained for 20 minutes. You did not arrive to your approved residence until 12:23 a.m. on 1/6/24. On 1/10/24, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 4:32 p.m. until 4:35 p.m. On 1/19/24, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 11:17 p.m. until 3:24 a.m. on 1/20/24. On 1/25/24, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 4:47 p.m. until 10:55 a.m. on 1/26/24. On 2/2/24, you allowed your GPS to shut down from 6 a.m. until 4:47 p.m. On 2/3/24, you did not stay at your approved residence. Your GPS points placed you at the Econo Lodge in East Hartford. You did not have permission to stay out on any date. Charge under curfew. Your parole officer reported that on 10/21/23, you left the state of Connecticut and traveled to Rhode Island. You did not return to the state of Connecticut until 5 a.m. on 10/23/23. You did not have permission to leave the state of Connecticut from parole or no permission for a curfew extension. On 12/21/23, you did not stay at your parole approved address. Instead, you stayed at 1450. On 12/23/23, you did not return to your parole approved address until 10:30 p.m. You were 1.5 hours late for your 9 p.m. curfew. On 1/5/24, you were late for your 9 p.m. curfew again. Your GPS places you at Union Place in Hartford until 11:55 p.m. and then you travel to 1450 Main Street, where you remain for 20 minutes. You did not arrive at your parole approved residence until 12:23 a.m. on 1/6/24. On 2/3/24, you did not stay at your approved residence. Your GPS places you at Econo Lodge in East Hartford. You did not have permission to stay out on any date. Charge number 2 of obey all laws under obedience to the law. Your parole officer reported that on 2/20/24, you were observed by East Hartford PD operating a Honda Accord LX with an expired marker plate that belongs to a black color 2008 Acura MDX sport utility vehicle. When East Hartford PD attempted to pull you over by activating their lights and sirens, you continued to drive until you reached the parking lot in which you reside on Hillside Street. Once in the parking lot, the passenger inside your vehicle was observed exiting and running. Police engaged in a pursuit after the passenger that ran. When officers checked the car, you were seen operating. You were no longer inside. However, police did locate your cell phone and wallet that had your identification on it. The vehicle was later called in by the owner and reported stolen to East Hartford PD. While police were at the residence of the victim, you reported the vehicle stolen. The victim who reported the vehicle stolen, you walked in and said the vehicle was not registered and should not have marker plates on it. You stated you did not know how the vehicle had your cell phone and wallet in it. The police were able to pull camera footage off their building surveillance that showed you operating the motor vehicle at the time of the incident. Police went back to your residence at 50 Hillside Street, apartment C, and the victim called you out to the hallway. You were subsequently arrested by East Hartford PD and charged in violation of interfering with police, misuse of place, disobeying the signal of an officer, operating an unregistered motor vehicle, and operating a motor vehicle without a driver's license. You were arraigned at Manchester Court on 2/21/24 and held on a $5,000 bond. A remand to custody was lodged by parole. Charge number 4 under travel. Your PO reported that on 10/21/23, you left the state of Connecticut and traveled to Rhode Island. You did not return to the state of Connecticut until 5 a.m. on 10/23/23. You did not have permission to leave the state of Connecticut from parole, nor permission for curfew extension. On 1/27/24, you left the state of Connecticut without parole's permission. You traveled to the state of Massachusetts on that date after this officer informed you that you did not have permission to leave the state of Connecticut. All right, so those are your charges. I do have evidence from the state. Exhibit A is conditions of parole. B is a remand to custody. C, parole violation notice. D is a parole violation report. E, Allied Universal GPS reports. F, offender misconduct. G is East Hartford police report. H, GPS monitoring agreement. I, picture of Brian Perry driving on 2/20/24. J, Board of Pardons and Parole's revocation hearing summary. All right, so that's what I have from parole. I do not have a parole officer here to offer any additional evidence at this time. So is there anything that you would like to say regarding those charges that I just read?
for the Massachusetts, I was, which was on a Saturday that I had went. I didn't get my new parole officer until that Monday, which I got permission from my old parole officer, which was Howlett, to go because I was playing semi-pro out of Massachusetts for the New England Bulldogs. The only thing that I did not have permission for was Rhode Island. And in my cell phone, I have permission for 11 all the way up to January 4th to find a new residence due to an altercation that me and my girlfriend was dealing with at the time. And when the police came to my crib, that was not my girlfriend who they was questioning. That was my 15-year-old daughter, which is why I got the interfering with the officer.
All right, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So charge number 1, condition of release direction under GPS. I am making a finding of probable cause based on the evidence provided by the state, specifically the Allied Universal GPS reports and also the GPS monitoring agreement. Charge number 2 under curfew. Same thing, I am making a finding of probable cause based on evidence provided by the state, specifically those GPS points and the GPS agreement from parole. Charge number 2 under obey all laws, obedience to the law. All right, so this is for the arrest on 2/20/24. I am making a finding of probable cause based on evidence provided by the state, specifically the police report that was provided as evidence. In charge number 3 of travel, I am making a finding of finding of probable cause based on evidence provided by the state, specifically those GPS points, as well as the parole violation report. All right, so I have, it looks like you were out on parole for about a year. You have 1 criminal violation. You have several noted misconducts. I think all the misconducts that were noted as in the parole violation report, that you've also been charged with them on the charges as well. All right. And you do have that criminal case pending. So I did make a finding, and I have determined that it's serious enough to warrant revocation and continue incarceration. So I will see you again once those cases get disposed of. I will see you again, and we will talk about if you violated those parole conditions and what, if any, sanctions should be imposed at that time. Okay. So once that criminal case gets disposed of, I'll see you again. Okay.
Or,
Do you have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Can I use my phone as evidence for everything that you saying on everything that I got violated for at my parole, my pre-application hearing?
Yeah, what do you mean? So you want to use your phone as evidence? Is there what do you mean, text messages?
Everything that y'all say, listen, I'm not trying to come in here or everything that was displayed on that paper right there, I have permission for. But it just,
so if you have
the officer.
Go ahead.
The cop has my cell phone in holding. They never put it in my property so that it wasn't able for somebody to obtain it. I have messages from parole officer from the beginning all the way to the end on everything that I was violated for. Even when I went to Rhode Island, it was notified to the parole officer that I was going to Rhode Island, and she allowed it and just brought me back in and changed my 12 o'clock curfew to 9 o'clock curfew.
Okay. So if you have evidence on your cell phone of what we talked about today, like the report, the charges that we talked about, you can bring that as evidence, but you're going to need someone to be able to print stuff off the phone or get the phone and something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
yes. That's what I would.
Yeah, if you have something like that, you can send it to me at my office, or you can fax it over, you can email it over, whatever works.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You can absolutely do that for your revocation hearing. Get all the stuff you can and submit it. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I will see you again once that case gets disposed of. But in the meantime, I would work on getting some of that evidence that you have. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this concludes the preliminary hearing for Brian Perry, number 373781. All right. I'll see you again. Okay.
All right.
All right. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to need some help. So remember, this was a preliminary parole revocation hearing. So now we're gonna see him probably in I think like a month or something. And when we do, we'll play that next hearing for you. It's like he made that probably pretty big mistake by not taking up the public defender. He then shows up without any defender at all, and has nothing to say except that, oh, well, I got my phone, I have proof, I can be there. And it's like, okay, you're in big trouble, man. Now we can go. It was, oh man, I mean, the list of violations was so long. She kept reading it and reading it and reading it. I felt so bad for her that day. Actually, she came in to work. She's so sick. She should not have been at work. She could barely talk, and it was all day. She kept, and I don't know if you heard that in her voice, but it didn't help having that long list of offenses. He's on special parole for a crime that he committed in 2015, and I can just go over it with you for a little bit. And thank you, Richard. So let's see. Victim went to pick up a friend for work and was carjacked by the friend and her brother. Hartford police. Okay. That was a weapon they had found. Police arrest a suspect in a carjacking after a chase near a Magnate school Tuesday morning. The event started to unfold on Martin Street, where police said the vehicle was carjacked around 8 a.m. Who carjacks right 8 a.m.? The victim told police that he was picking up a friend to go work when his brother, later identified, came out and asked the victim to get out of the car to talk. The victim got out of the car. Perry pulled out a black firearm and pointed it at the victim's chest while pulling the trigger several times. The gun didn't fire, so Perry cycled the slide to the rear of the chamber. Second round, he then fired again. The victim ran away on foot. How did he not get more charges, like attempted? Wow. Holy cow. Brown then got into the victim's car, and all they got him was with. Are you serious? How did they not throw the book at him for something like this? He got robbery, first degree with a deadly weapon, sentenced to 9 years jail, special parole 6 years. This is the special parole that we're talking about now. Wow, they are lenient in Connecticut. There's no doubt about that. He's stupid. Like, if I want to see the video, I'll. Anyways, so Brown got into the victim's car as her brother chased the victim on foot while continuing to try to shoot him. Brown picked up Perry and carjacked vehicle and two fled the area. Police spotted the stolen vehicle and red Nissan around 9:22 a.m. and pursued the area of Global Magnet School, pre-kindergarten magnet school, which is located in 85 Edward Street. Officer tried to block the car into the parking lot, but it fled, and at this point it was being driven by Perry, who was alone in the car. Police chased the stolen car for several streets before it hit a curb and was disabled. Perry then got out of the car and ran to the Global Communication Academy parking lot as police ran after him. Hartford Police Shooting Task Force officers and Hartford Police Academy are in the same complex at the school. You hear that? He literally ran into a building where the Hartford Police Shooting Task Force office and academy is. What a place to go, huh? Perry pulled out the black firearm from his waistband and had it in his hand when he tipped and dropped the gun. He was taken into custody of the school parking lot and the gun was secured. Can you imagine for doing this and all he got was really a slap on the wrist sentence? How is that possible? The victim positively identified Perry, and the investigation revealed that Brown was the other suspect involved. She was arrested a short time later. When police canvassed the initial crime scene, a .22 caliber ammunition was found At the time of the carjacking, the victim had a dog in the car. The dog ran out when the victim fled on foot. He was later found in the car parking lot in Hartford Police Department. The dog was returned to the victim. Brian Perry, convicted felon with 11 previous arrests in Hartford, was charged with 12 crimes, carrying a pistol without a permit, criminal possession of a firearm, criminal attempted murder, carjacking, robbery, first-degree larceny, second-degree weapon, motor vehicle. But all they got him on was the first-degree deadly weapon, was robbery first degree with a deadly weapon. 9 years. 9 years. And that special parole that we're watching him now. That's hard to believe. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. It literally, what we're watching are criminals, dangerous criminals, just being released right back into the street. Wow. So let's watch this firsthand.
Now to an NBC Connecticut exclusive. A Hartford man thought he was giving a friend a ride. Instead, he was nearly killed during a violent carjacking. That man spoke exclusively to NBC Connecticut's Jamie Ratliff. He says it's a miracle he's still alive.
It was a setup. It was just a complete setup.
What started this morning as a friend giving a friend a ride, police say ended in attempted murder. The victim, who did not want his identity revealed, says he was meeting 25-year-old Paula Brown on Martin Street when her brother, 23-year-old Brian Perry.
I'm sorry. It's like this bug. I didn't try watching this link beforehand, but there's this, I don't even know if it's a bug. It's just that these websites are just a joke, where you try to watch something that they show and it just cuts out in the middle of watching it. It's something I see across the board with these news sites. They're just built like garbage. And then people wonder, why are they failing? I wonder why. And there's a lot of reasons, but a part of it is something like that. I look up, I want to look up a case, and they have this bug that you can't watch more than 15 seconds of the news without it going to see something on Kim Kardashian. I don't care about Kim Kardashian. I need more programs. This stuff just gets me. It does. These, I think the only thing worse than having to watch this insanity all over, parole board and the crime and is having to rely on these news websites that are run like you could see them running themselves into the ground. They're run incompetently. They're run by people who don't use them. They're run by, it's a joke. Anyways, I'm just going to end it at that. With that, I'll let you go.